Okay, hello. We will get started in just a minute. We've had a few others join in, so we will get started pretty shortly. Okay. All right. Before we do begin, I will take this moment to acknowledge the original owners of country throughout Australia and its collection of surrounding islands. I'm coming to you from the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I myself have connection to the Awabakal lands. I will pay respects to any First Nations Australians with us here today, and also pay respects to elders, whether they be past, present, or emerging, and recognise that these lands were never ceded and that sovereignty was never extinguished. A little bit of housekeeping. This software doesn't let you unmute yourself, so if you've got a question for us, pop it into the questions section of your control panel. We are recording, at least I hope we are, and yes, we are recording. Great. I'm going to try and get that video online by the end of the day. Okay. Hello and welcome to class training to all of our class admins. At least I hope you're all class admins. If you're not a class administrator for a centre, this may not be the class training session for you. My name's Samuel Martin. I've been on the ICT team at CLCs Australia for, I think tomorrow will be exactly 2.5 years. I've been doing these training sessions for about 18 months or thereabouts. Anyway, today we're looking at customization. Because we have so much diversity through society and around the legal sector, the community legal sector, Class is quite a configurable system. You can customize it to work for you. You can make it work better for you using customizations. So we'll have a look at doing that today. Excuse me, a bit of a frog in the throat. I'm wondering if that's got anything to do with all the rain on the East Coast at the moment. There is a lot of it. Anyway, these are the things we're going to look at. We'll go through some things relating to fields and then a bunch of other things there. Don't know if that means anything to you. You can have a read of those if you like. We might get right into it pretty quickly. Okay. I want to go over some things with fields with you. So there are things in class that Class is full of standard fields. There's a lot of standard fields in Class, but you can set up your own fields, which we call custom fields. Now, this is something I wanted to go over as well. This is kind of basic level stuff, but I just wanted to go over this quickly. I should do this for the new users and general users of Class as well. You may want to pass this on to them if you like. So I'll show you what I'm talking about rather than explaining it, because that's a bit simpler. So this is Class. I'm just going to open a service. And I can show you some fields on a service screen that will do. Okay, there's a service, a discrete non-legal support service, or whatever it is, doesn't really matter. Okay, excuse me again. So there's lots of fields. We've got the, all right, service type is a perfect field to demonstrate what I'm talking about. So service type, this is a field. The field is called service type. Now, flicking back to my slide, there are options and there are responses. Now, I'll tell you what both of those means. So the service type field is a drop-down field. A lot of them are not, like keywords is not, so that's going to be a bit different. But for most of your the drop-down fields, you'll have a range of options. These are what we call options, and you can select one of these options. Now, when I click out of there, we've got one that's already been selected. So this is what we call the response on this field. So these are all the options available inside this field, and this option that has been selected is then saved to this service, and that is what we call the response to this field. Okay, it's kind of some basic level stuff, but I wanted to go over that quickly. Custom fields, this is kind of what we're talking about today. Well, this is one of the big things we'll be talking about today. Excuse me again. Custom fields, you can set up your own fields. I've got a couple of things I need to tell you about before I show you how this is done. I know there's a lot of background information, but just bear with me. Also bear with me while I have a sip of tea. I really do have a bit of a bug in my Okay, hopefully that's better. Every custom field that you add to class will add a little performance hit to class. So we recommend setting them up very carefully and only really putting in the ones you need. Now, if you're on like a MBN or I don't know, like Starlink or whatever Elon Musk's system is, if you've got a super fast internet, then it may not be an issue. If you're in a rural or remote area and your internet connection is not that great, you might want to be really careful about how many custom fields you add. We sort of really don't recommend adding dozens and dozens of them. We recommend being a bit more careful. And then when you are setting them up, maybe even set up like just a temporary document, a Word doc or something, or even just a notes doc, and just kind of plan out what you're going to add to class before you do it. Because they will slow down your system just a tiny little bit each one. And then if you add them the wrong way and you realize, maybe I want to delete that and just do it again, well, then we don't recommend deleting things from class because there may be data attached to it, and then that causes all kinds of problems if you delete things. So we then recommend setting up a new one and maybe hiding the one if you've set it up incorrectly. Anyway, the other thing to think about when setting up custom fields is where does it go? And I've got a couple of tips here for you. So the client screen, the server screen, there's a whole bunch of other places where you can put custom fields, and I will demonstrate a lot of those to you today. Two of the obvious places will be the client screen and the server screen. And we've got kind of a rule of thumb here about what goes where. So a piece of information that's not going to change about a client or is not likely to change about a client, that's something that goes on the client screen. And then kind of everything else goes on the server screen. I'm going to flick back to class now. So this is a service. I'm going to open the client record. So something that's not likely to change about a client is their gender, although that can change. The ATSI status is highly unlikely to change. The country of birth, that's not going to change. That's the kind of thing that goes on the client record. For everything else, mostly everything else, we recommend putting it on the service screen. And the reason for that is to be able to record changes in those kinds of things over time. So if I come down here, we've got the service characteristics. And inside there, you've got the financial disadvantage indicator. That could absolutely change from day to day, really. So can all these things. One of the great examples is disability status. So you may not think that a disability is likely to change, but it actually can. They're talking about, I've heard a lot of talk about curing HIV. So I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just saying that disabilities can change. So that's why we put these on the server screen rather than the client screen, so that you can record those changes to these particular things. I'm going to flick back to the client record. I seem to have opened one who is flagged, but never mind that. Okay, now we're going to look at how you add. How you add a custom field to class. So I'm going to set one up for the client screen. I'm just going to demonstrate, so it's not, it's just going to be a demonstration. Anyway, to create custom fields, we'll look in the top right for customize. You hover over that, and then you click on customize view, and you'll do that in all sorts of places around class. So now we've got our service record and then the client record, and now we've got this new tab, customize view. And inside this tab, we get a bunch of secondary tabs, if you like, these ones. And obviously that one right there is for custom fields. So this will be the list of custom fields that we've set up for our instance of class, the CLCs Australia instance, and then there's a whole bunch of them in there. I might go and have a quick look at one. No, I've changed my mind. I'm going to set up a new one. Now, setting up a new one, you'll hover over new. Now, what you could do is set up a whole new group of fields. I'll click on that to show you what I mean. So basically, you would enter a title for your group of fields and click Save and Close. I'm just going to close because that's enough of a demonstration. That's all you need. I'll show you what happens when you do that. I'm just going to scroll down, and I should be able to find I think this might be a custom group of fields. So that's an entire group. So this is a group of fields here, and then this is another group of fields. So you can set up a whole group and then put a series of custom fields inside the group of fields. One more note here, which I maybe should have mentioned earlier, but now's a good enough time. It's not currently possible to reorder any of these fields. Like these here are all test fields. These are all custom fields. If you wanted to put something, say, up here, inside here somewhere, it's not really possible. If you put a custom field inside the personal details group of fields, it'll display at the bottom. And there's not really any way you can change that. So if you're setting up a custom group of fields, maybe set up the ones that you want, you set them up in order of the way you want them to display. Okay, I'm going to click back to my Customize View tab, and now I'm going to hover over New again, and then I'm going to click on New Custom Field. Okay, yeah. All right. Okay, so this is what we get when we see when we're setting up a new custom field. First thing you have to do is select a group of fields. Now you can put it in your custom group of fields, or as I was saying before, you can put it into an existing group of fields. Okay, that's taking a while. Come on, hurry up. It's a bit weird. Why is that happening? There we go. No, there we go. All right. Give it a title. I'm just making something up here, right off the top of my head, just to demonstrate. Title your field whatever you like. We come then to map type. I don't believe you need to select one, but you can. So we're putting this custom, and this will be different for the different areas that you're placing your custom fields, whether it be on the client screen, the server screen. I think we're going to have a look at additional parties later or something like that. So if you were to just set up this without selecting a map type, it'll just display for every client because we're putting this on the clients field. But if you want to select which types of clients this displays for, you can do that. So I'm going to select client type, map type, and then it's going to so it doesn't actually do anything, but now what I can do is select in available for all the different types of clients. So if you want it to display for individuals but not any of the others, you can do that. So I'm going to click in individual just as a demonstration. Now I'm just going to click out of that box. Now what we can see is that it's copied it across to required for and show for. I don't know why show for is there. I find it a bit annoying, but it's there, and we're probably not likely to change it because it's not that annoying. It also copies it across to required for. Now this is pretty self-explanatory. If you leave that as it is and save and close this custom field, it'll be a required field, and you won't be able to save a client record without entering something into this field. So if you don't want this to be mandatory, just click that little box, that'll remove that. So now it will be available for individuals, but it won't be mandatory. Okay. So the next thing to think about is type. Now, there's a bunch of options in here. There's a couple of really common ones that are used. A comment/essay box. I'm gonna see if I can find one. This is a pretty classic example, actually. Just flicking back to the client record. This is I'll flick back to the custom tab, custom field setup. A comment essay box, that's what one of those looks like. So you can use one of those if you want. If you want something more like the keywords field where you can type in whatever you want, but it's not that as big as a comment essay box, you can do that as well. You would choose single input, and then you would choose the data type, and then it can just be text, so you can enter whatever you like. Number, it won't take letters, it'll just take numbers. Email will mean you'll need to have a proper email address in there. You could have just a date or the date and time. that you enter in. You can have any of those that you want, a text one, for example. Once you select that, you can then give it a max number of characters as well, if you like. Okay, a couple more things to go through before we move on. So we've got the additional information up here before that we need to think about as well. And I've just realized I haven't finished with the types, so I'm going to come back to additional information. So you've got single inputs, you've got comments and essay boxes, multiple input. I'm not sure what that does. I'm not sure I would recommend using it. Excuse me. Okay. The one we do recommend, if you really want to know what all these are and what they do, you could come to us on the help desk, but it could take us a while to go through all of these right now. Why you would use a label only, I'm really not sure. Checkboxes we don't really recommend because they make it pretty hard to get data into your reports when you use a single checkbox. So there are these ones here which we do recommend, the multiple choice, only one answer or multiple answers. So this will be, you can set it up as a bunch of things. We recommend a drop-down field. You can set it up as a few other types of fields if you want. And this one will be a single select field, so like service type, as we were talking about before. You'll only be able to choose one option. With multiple answers, if you set that up, that'll be more like the problem type field where you can select multiple options. I'm going to use multiple choice, only one answer. Yeah, just demonstrating. Wait for that to load. Now we've got the control type, and you've got a few options in here. You can have a button with however many columns you want. I don't really recommend them. I don't think they look nice. I don't think they're very user-friendly. The drop-down box is the option I would recommend. Now I've just scrolled down. Once we've set up a drop-down, we need to put the options into the drop-down field. So we've got the answer options here is where we do that. So if I just click new, I'm just going to show you something else we recommend. We often recommend having something like, I didn't want to do that. I wanted save and new, not save and close. It's a pretty good demonstration, I suppose, anyway. So we've got an option in there now, which is yes. I'm going to click new, so I can do what I wanted to do before I really hurriedly click through to the button I didn't want. We often recommend setting up something like yes, no, and unknown, or something like that. You'll find that all over the place in class, things like that. If you're setting up a drop-down box, something like this could work pretty well for you. And then there's the sort order, obviously, so you could change those around if you wanted to. But yeah, this is basically how you set up a drop-down field, your own field that you want. Okay, so those are the basic types that we recommend. The common essay box, if you want single input, you could then make it a text or email, whatever you like, or the drop-down boxes using the multiple choice options. And you can use the other ones if you want, up to you. All right, now, the additional information section, there's a few things to go through in here. The report column header, leave it empty to use the title. If you want it to have a different title when you're doing reports, and the column will have a different title when you're setting up reports, you can do that. I don't know why you would want to, but you can if you want to. You can change the title. Again, I don't know why you would, but you can. My recommendation would be to leave that blank. So show in report view is pre-checked for you. So that's going to be available, this custom field, excuse me, is going to be available in reports. If you don't want it to be, then untick that. I probably wouldn't recommend that either. Show in list view. So we're setting up a custom field for a client. So if I go into search clients, I can search for clients, and then I'd be able to add this custom field as a column here. I might come back to that. Okay. If you want that to happen, you click in show list view. I'm going to go over list views towards the end of this. Add additional tips. We really don't recommend doing this. So you can have a title for the field and it'll say whatever it is, and then you select an option or you type something in to the field or whatever you're doing. You can then have like an additional piece of text to give your staff a bit of a clue about what it is. Again, I don't think they're very user-friendly, those tips. I don't really recommend using them, but it is there if you want to. You can also add another input. So you can have like a double sort of field. Again, really don't recommend using those either. But it is there if you want to. I'm not really going to demonstrate that today, but if you did want a demonstration, let us know at the help desk and we'll get onto that for you. Okay, so here's a custom field. We've basically set it up how we want. What you would do if you're gonna, and I'm sure you know all of this, you can save it, save and new, and save and close. Just letting you know, I'm just gonna close that and not save it because we've already got too many custom fields and I don't really wanna set up another one. Okay, so that would be how you would set up a custom field. That's on the client screen. It's pretty much exactly the same for the service screen. Just let me flip back to my slides. I might show you how to set one up for additional parties. If you do want to see it on the service screen, let me know on the question section. And I will see if I can do that for you. I have seen that question that person sent through. I'm not sure I can answer that one right now. I might come back to you with an answer to that a little bit later. Okay, so a custom field for additional parties. So we're in a service record and you click across to additional parties. I'm going to click new to add an additional party. I'm not actually adding an additional party. What I'm going to set up is a custom field. Now I'll show you a demonstration here. Custom field. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to select it's another party. Oh no, I'm going to select it's an individual. Now here we go. Let me unselect that. I don't think I can. Yes, I can. Okay. So this now is a group. Anyway, ignore that. When I change this to individual, have a look down here and watch what happens. That's where the custom field appears when you select individual. So that's the map types. When we set up that last custom field on the client screen, we set it up so that it would only be available for individuals. So that's what happens when you select the individual. In there, the custom fields appear. So I'm gonna go through, click, you hover over customize, then click customize view. And again, you can click across to custom fields. So there's that custom field, first AP custom field. Now, obviously it's not very pretty. You just need to look through to find your custom fields when you're looking for them. So I'll click new. If you do click on new, it's going to set up a new field for you rather than a new group. And this doesn't matter. That's just demonstrating. That doesn't matter. Okay, so we've got the map types. So as I was saying, you can set up different map types. So if you want a custom field to display for everything, you can ignore the map type and just leave it. If you want it to select for certain things, and here's a great example. Yeah, person type. We've seen the person type map type. So when we selected the other party was an individual, the custom field appeared. That was because we were using the person type map type. I've also got the additional party type map type. I'm going to select that to demonstrate this. Yep. So when I click in there, you can say this is another party or a related party. So maybe I want to set up a custom field for just related parties and I don't want it to be required, or maybe you do. And then we've kind of been through all of this and maybe the custom field is, I don't know, we've already got relationship to client, but if you wanted to set it up for just related parties, you could set up a custom field for just that. Excuse me. Now, there are a couple of things I have missed down here. The control width, I'll just go over this quickly. Basically leave it alone. I don't really know why it's there. You can play with it. Like you could go into the class demo site, our little test portal, and play with that if you wanted to. I wouldn't recommend playing with it in the live version of class. I'd recommend leaving it alone. There is the demo version of class if you want to play with things like that. Down here, we've got the active checkbox. If you set one up and then in however many months or years time, you realize we don't want to collect data on this custom field anymore, you can deactivate them so they won't appear on the screen and you won't be collecting any more data on those. If you want to do that, you can hide the title. Again, a lot of this stuff, I don't know why it's there, but if you want to do that, you can do that. All of this we've been through. Yes, okay, I'm just going to close that. So that's pretty much how you set up a custom field, and you can do them in all sorts of places. Okay, we might move on. Types and categories. Okay, so this is where we can change the options for standard fields. What was the demonstration I gave before, or the example I gave was service type. Yep, any kinds of fields, you can create your own options. With the service type field, yes, you can. It's a little bit fraught, that one. You can, depending on what you're trying to do. You might want to run some of this stuff by the help desk just for a tiny bit of advice. Before you do things like this, you can set default options and you can hide fields or options, I think it is, or maybe both as well. Let's go and have a look. So to access, just give me a sec. To access the types and categories, click on System Settings in the bottom left and then Types and Categories. That's where you'll find it. Okay, so I seem to think that a good example here would be document type. So I'll open this and we'll see what we get. So we've got all the different types of documents you can upload. Obviously, that's one that we've set up. That's a custom document type that was set up by, I don't know who, someone. And there's obviously a couple in here. Now, there are obviously some pretty standard ones, and it looks like these are the standard ones, the ones that were set up by Chris Dubrow. Okay, the IT Magnet one, that will probably be a standard one as well, and then a couple of other people have added custom ones. So you can do that as well if you want. You would do that by simply clicking new and then going through what you want it to be. You can give it code if you want. A lot of things, like a lot of the problem types, you can and you can set up your own problem types using types and categories. And a lot of people want to give them codes. So when you're setting up a new service, all you have to do is go whatever, and then bang, sets up the thing that you want. You just give it a name, give it a description too. If you want, it'll display in that column right there in the back description. I'm just going to close. There's no real reason to save this. That would be how you would set up a new document type. Once you do save it, it will then display here as a new option in this list, and that's then available. You could then edit it if you wanted to. Don't want people selecting this, or I need to give it a description, or you can deactivate it, whatever you want to do. You can do that. So that's how you set up new options in fields. I will go through to problem type. I'm just back in the list of types and categories, and I'm looking for problem type. And yes, you can set up your own ones. Some of these things that you want to set up in types and categories will ask you to parent the thing that you're setting up to an existing thing. This is where we get into a bit of trouble, especially with problem types. Oftentimes people set it up for other civil or something like that. So I'm not seeing it there now. And then they come through and say, oh, everything we've got, all of our problem types are under other civil. How does that happen? Other civil, there it is. So then you could set it up, you could give it a code if you want to, and then name your new problem type. It's going to then be mapped to other civil, and there's no way around that. So we recommend choosing parents very carefully, and we also recommend contacting the help desk if you want help setting up custom options in fields and parenting them to existing things. What was I demonstrating? Document types. What else did I need to say about this? Let me flip back to my slides. Oh yeah, you can set a default. So maybe you only work with one type of document. That's a really bad example, I know, you almost certainly don't, but just as a demonstration, you could say let's just set this field every time we're setting up a document, just set the type of document as identification documents. And I know you wouldn't, but you can set a default. That's how you just click that button right there. Then if you've set up options like lucky documents, which is a great option, you can then hide that. This one's already hidden. So in this column here, you can hide things, and then if you decide, no, we need that one back again, you can then unhide it. I don't actually want that there, so I'm gonna hide that again. Okay, so that's kind of the demonstration of types and categories. You can set up new options for standard fields. A lot of them you can't edit, like the custom, like the standard ones. So these standard ones will set up, if you see in here, something was set up by maybe IT Magnet. You can't click on that, you can't edit it. I really don't recommend deleting it. You can't really edit those, but you could hide them potentially. So you can change the options for standard fields, you can hide them, you can set them as default. That's what we do in types and categories. I think we're moving on to field mapping. So field mapping is where we hide or display standard fields for different service types, and you can make fields mandatory as well. Let's go and have a look at what that means, because I can't even really figure out what that means, and I'm doing the demonstration. Okay, I'm going to close types and categories, field mapping. So again, system settings, and it's right there, field mapping. So a good example here will be the new notes fields we just added to class. They display on the client page or client screen, and a lot of people don't want them. So what you can do is remove them. So you can come in here and you can do a search for whatever you're looking for. Then you can figure out, is this field on the client screen? Is it on the server screen? I think there's projects there as well. And then once you find the field you're looking for, you click to open it. I'm just going to make a note that we've got 2 of these here. What happens is that when you edit one, it'll add a new one, which can be a bit confusing. I'll show you how it works. I'm going to click on mobile phone notes, and I'm going to say, I don't want this available, I want to get rid of it. So it's now available for individuals. I could actually make it available for organizations, for everything, or any combination of those that I wanted to. I could even make it mandatory. So this is how you make fields mandatory. Required for means mandatory or required, pretty obviously. Now, if I want to remove it, you click that little box and then click out of there. We've now got nothing in there. Now I'll click Save and Close. And that's going to create that second reference to this. So now we've got one that says NACLAC and one that says CLC's Oz. I can't actually remember which one is which. So that's the one we've edited. I'm going to close that and I'm going to try that on. And hopefully that will, no, that's not displaying that. So this is the original one, displaying what the original settings were. And now we've got the other one, which is displaying the current settings. And yes, it's a bit confusing. Might just be a matter of figuring out which one's the current one and which one's the original one, and editing the one that you need, like the current one, if you figure out which one that is. Okay, excuse me. So that's field mapping. What else do I have on field mapping? Making them hide or display standard fields for different service types. It's other things as well as service types. Making fields mandatory, we've seen that. Let's just have a quick look at this one again. Right, so oftentimes it's not going to be a service type. Excuse me. As you can see, this is an organization type or a person type or a client type is what it is. So this is what we get. I'll just quickly show you what's a good one. I don't know if that's going to work. So we could change the problem type in project services. And as you can see, so this is the service type. So as I was saying before, this can depend on which service types or can be set up. to display or not display for which service types. And it's different for each field. Sometimes it's client type, sometimes it's your service type. Yeah, okay. That is pretty much field mapping. Let me know if you want to know anything else about it. Custom actions. So I'm kind of going back to what we already saw, custom fields, but I really want to demonstrate this one specifically. Now, you've probably seen the training session I do for client services and actions, which is basically just about an hour or so talking about actions. During that one, I often say actions can be used for pretty much anything, and it pretty much can, because you can set up custom fields on your actions screen. You can even set up your own types of actions. I'll come back to that one. Custom actions. Just give me a second. I think I'm demonstrating the wrong thing. Custom fields for actions. Sorry. Okay. You can set up your own types of actions, and I'm doing it the wrong way. Okay. To set up your own types of actions, you go into types and categories, and you go action type. And then you can set up your own types of actions. And as you can see, we've got a bunch in here. Here's one that I set up earlier. Referral date, so you can record the date of a referral. So you can pretty much set up any type of action you want, pretty much anything at all. We don't really recommend against anything in particular. You might want to run it past us at the help desk before you do it, just for advice if you like. Perfectly willing to. Now, you will need to give it a parent. So again, it's kind of just figuring out what the best option is. Maybe it's whatever it is, notes, or I don't know, something. You can give it a code if you want. I don't know if you would. Again, you can if you like. Obviously, then you just give it a name and a description if you like. Click save and close. I'm just going to close out of that for demonstration purposes. No, I don't. I'll have a look in here. This is not default. It is active. Okay, so we should be able to see referral date. When trying to set up an action. I think we do that in here. Excuse me while I'm flicking around. So referral date should be an action. There it is there. So that's a custom action type. And you can basically set up anything you want, as I was saying. So you select that and a custom field pops up. Does it work? Yes, it does. And then you can use actions the way that will work for you. So that is how you set up action types. Custom actions or custom action types. Now going on to the next slide, custom fields for actions. Right, so apparently this doesn't work for the custom actions yet, which is really annoying. I know we're going to try and get that fixed. So to put a custom field like this onto the actions screen, it's the same process as for clients, services, additional parties, everywhere else you can set up custom fields. You hover over customize, click customize view, and then click over to custom fields. Funnily enough, and again, it looks exactly like it does when we saw it for clients. You click new. I will just demonstrate very, very quickly. Stick it into a group, the left, right group, your custom group, if you like. Give it a title, whatever you want. Your map type, so action type map type, you don't need to use that. You can set it up for every type of action, or you can set it up for the actions you want. As you can see, referral date is not in there. As I was saying, the custom actions can't have custom fields put on them just yet, which I know, again, is really annoying. Then it's a matter of just setting up your custom field as we saw earlier, the same way. Okay, I'll close out of that. Unless anyone has any questions or wants to know anything more about setting up custom fields for actions, that's probably about that demonstration. Customizing triage. Okay, so triage custom fields. Yep, yeah. All right, so the first note I have for you here is that it's not possible to customize new intake. It would be great to do that. You currently can't. I think there is a reason for it. I can't exactly remember what it is. Anyway, You currently can't customize new intake, but you can add custom fields to triage services. So the way it would work is that your staff, when setting up a service into triage, they would have to go into new intake, put a service into the triage list, then they'd have to come into the triage list, open the service, and then fill out the custom fields. I know it's a bit fiddly, but this is the way it currently works. So you would, to set up custom fields just for triage services, you would come into the triage on a list, open a service, and then again, hover over customize view, and then custom fields. And then if you're setting them up for just triage, click new or new field, and map type, service type map type, and then available for triage. And I'll make it not required. You can make it required if you want. So that is how you would set up a custom field for a triage service. So then once you open the list of triage services and then open the triage service, this field, this custom field will then display. So this is a triage service I'm in right now, and I'm pretty sure like this looks like a custom field to me, which is set up for just the triage services. People do some common things like, has the client seen our agreement, things like that. So you send them your client service agreement, and then you can register whether the client has sent a back signed or whatever. You can do things like that. Now, I don't think I need to demonstrate anything more here. We've seen how to set up a custom field. I did want to point out one more thing. So we saw the service type map type. There's also the problem type map type. Now you can set this up. I think it'll display on services, and it doesn't matter what type of service it is. It'll display on your custom field will display on a service if you select this particular problem type. So maybe it's a family law thing, which is obviously very common, a housing thing, whatever problem type you want, you can set it up. And can you set up multiple? Yeah, so you can set up all the family law problem types if you want. And then you can make them required for or not as well, if you like. So as I was saying at the start, Class is a very customizable system. You can set up custom fields for all kinds of things: clients, services, actions, additional parties. You can set them up to display only for particular service types, only for particular problem types, all kinds of things. You can mix and match your fields in a whole range of different ways. Okay. That's basically customizing triage. That's how it works. List views. We're getting pretty close now. Okay. List views. You can change a bunch of things in different places. Custom fields can be used here as well. As I was saying earlier, I was going to go through list views. Now, what have I got? Clients. Perfect. As I was saying, you can set up a custom field to put on the client screen. You could then add it to this. Let me go. So people might be wondering, list view, I'm going to flip back to my slides. What the heck is a list view? Well, a list view is this. This is a view that we've got in class. It opens a screen. Sometimes we call them a view. It's a bit of a techie developer kind of phrase, but never mind that. It's a view and there's a list inside this view. So we've got a list of clients, and anywhere you get a list of anything, you can basically customize it. So you can come over again to customize and go customize columns. Now, if it's not working for you, you want to start again, you can go clear column customizations. And I'm not sure what those things are for. I'm demonstrating list views. So if I click on customize columns, it'll open the column chooser, which displays down in the bottom right. And here it is. And there's another custom field. So here's a custom field here. So you could pick this up and drag it in. I'm not sure if you can put them there. You can. So you can put them anywhere you want. Now, as we know, if we scroll across, oh no, that does scroll all those columns across. Anyway, you can pick up fields, drag them, drop them wherever you want, set them up wherever you want. All of your staff can do that. And this works. This is one of the things I needed to tell you. This works by the account that the class is logged into. So this doesn't have to be the same for everyone at your center. You could set up a system where everyone does this the same. So you could have search services and everyone looks at that view the same way. You just set it up, maybe take a screenshot or maybe set up instructions on how everyone does it, and then instruct everyone to set up this particular list view, whichever particular list view it is. You can instruct everyone to set them up the same way. You can add your custom fields in. I'm going to open the column chooser again. Oh, there it is. Another custom field example. You can drag them out, and you can have standard fields in there. I'm going to choose a less common one, postcode. I don't need that. Drag it, drop it, get rid of it. You don't have to have it if you don't want. You don't have to have any fields in there that you don't want. That can be completely customizable, including adding or removing custom fields. Okay, I think I'm pretty close here. That's about it. All right, we're going on about 50 minutes. Okay, I might flick through things, though I don't see any questions. I might flick through finding documentation and getting help. The documentation for all of this stuff will be in the admin manual on our class, on our website within the class documentation, which again you find under resources class. This is the class documentation. I believe all of this is under the admin manual. So we'll go and have a look at that. Fields, I'll have a look at that. Security tools, I don't think it is in there. I'm not sure, I should have prepped this better. So we've got information on standard fields and custom fields. I'm not sure, I'm gonna go something like field mapping, do a search if you can't find it, or come to us at the help desk, and we're happy to send links to you anytime. Field mapping, there it is. Where does this live? I'll open that. If you were to search for types and categories, you would find that as well. Field mapping, fields, standard fields, there it all is there. Types and categories, field mapping, can be some of this stuff is buried so deep, I don't even know where to find it myself sometimes, and I work on this website all the time. Customizing standard fields, standard field lists, I think that's the list views thing I just went through with you. That's where all the documentation is, getting help from the help desk. When you can't find it there, you go to help and support, click into there. Okay, and this is how you get help. A few basic things there that might fix your problem. If you've got an issue, there's the email address, icthelp@clcs.org.au. That will get you a response from the class help desk, the class portal, where you can keep track of all your inquiries in the one place. Let me flick across to here. Up in the top right, you've got requests. Click on there, they're all in there. And of course, there's the phone number as well. If you don't get an answer when you call, do leave a voicemail. We do check them all and we do respond to them all. Okay, that's about 50 minutes. I might be able to let you go and give you the rest of your day back. I will say thank you. I hope this did help. Yeah, we hope these sessions help. Classes are pretty big and unwieldy systems sometimes, and there's a fair bit of information I've just gone through there. There's a lot of different ways you can customize class, as we've just seen. If you do want help with it, please do let us know at the help desk. So thanks again, and it's going to be bye from us for now, from CLCs Australia.